There's a couple things that I can contribute that to, right? But just to kind of break it down, I will start with the consistency, right? The consistency on my calendar. My calendar now, thank God, is filled with the top 20% activities for me, right? And, you know, when you're starting out in real estate, in order to do that, you have to be able to identify what those are. And typically that takes trial and error to get to know what are the top 20%, what are my levers, my that I use in order to bring me business, right? Um, so I've been very consistent. I mean, every single day I'm on it. I know the value of working every single day. And I was e really, really, really early. I identified that if when I do something in real estate, the result doesn't come until at least 90 days later, right? So I knew that the days that I didn't do anything, don't expect to check 90 days later, point blank, period, right? So being able to understand that early allowed me to be very consistent. Then on top of that, relationships. I'm really good at relationships, communicating with people, because I was in the entertainment industry before real estate. Without knowing that I was building myself up for this, my whole job was to just basically network and build relationship with people and build a following. So I had a pretty good following here in my area where, I would do events and, 150 people, 200 people would show up, pay money to come and see me. And so when I was to transition into real estate, all I had to do was just connect with the same exact people who were already invested in me for a long time. So I just had to tell them, this is what I'm selling now. Now I'm doing this. So they already trusted me. So that with taking, the recipe and the values that KW has, it allowed me to be able to transition really well and apply it to that. So, I had a class yesterday I taught, and I told them, and I said, man, you're in a company where they're showing you how to be a good person and you get paid for it. They're teaching you how to be a better person, okay? And then in result, you get paid for it. How to pour into people, how to come from contribution, to care for people. So I learned how to strengthen my relationships past what they already were. People do business with people they like. Got to know your strengths. I'm the guy that if I go to a bar and I sit down, the stranger's gonna come to me and just buy me a drink and tell me their life story. And it took a long time for me to identify that. And then finally, I realized this happens all the time. This is not coincidence. It's because I'm easy to talk to. I communicate, I listen. And so the relationships, having the relationships and constantly building on them and pouring into my people with consistency and a system has allowed me to excel in this field.
Consistency, I love it. And again, you hit relationships, and I don't know, and I credit our one of our most illustrious leaders in this business is Emmerich, and I heard Emmerich say at first, relationships will take you places that money can't. I like to say that the core of leadership is relationships, right? And I think that you're succeeding because your tribe, they're invested in you, and there is something that I'm starting to internalize, and people excel the most with the interest and support of others around them, your tribe and your vibe, right? You're attracting that. So thanks for sharing that. I am so interested, like most here today. Man, talk to me about the hip hop artist, right? Because you're the first. You're the first that I've had on here. So I'm not going to ask you to, to drop a line for us. I'm not going to ask you to do that, which you probably could.
Easily.
But I'm sure that there are so many correlations between that world and this one. You had mentioned relationships, but I know there's more. I'm sure there's discipline, which you had to be, right? I would, again, I'm putting words in your mouth and I'm going to shut up, but I'd like to think that managing, managing your time, managing your budget, managing your money, all of those things. Talk to me. How is that all connected to real estate?
So I was an independent hip hop artist, and that's the difference. Okay, that
Yes.
means so it's like real estate. I only eat what I kill. Everything that I do is funded for myself. We have to have a game plan behind it. Even when it came down to certain songs, photo shoots, it was planning that took place before that happened. We had to study. We had to study the market. We had to look at statistics, numbers, and also we had to build relationships with the network. So a lot of those things transition with the real estate. It also allowed me to have that vision, which I feel like is so important to be able to plant a seed, water it, nurture it, and then watch it grow. And then once it grows, you also still have things you have to do after that, right? You have to, crop it. You have to take it, make sure get it ready before you can even serve it and take it to this next level. So being, an entrepreneur as well, when I was doing music, I also owned several businesses. I had a clothing line, also had a hookah business as well, and I also sold cars overseas. All these were just, entrepreneurial jobs that I created. And so I understood what it took, the dedication and the consistency to see something through. And I knew that having that allowed me to be able to push when it's hard to see an end in sight.
Wow. You got a lot, man. You had a lot on your plate. Do you still do many of these same things? I heard cars overseas and hookah. To me, that's all the hookah and stuff, that's around entertainment, right?
Mhm.
Do you still do all that or no?
No, no, I don't do that anymore. So what happened was when the pandemic happened, a lot of that stuff shut down.
Yes.
So that is actually when, right before the pandemic, is when I got into real estate. That was the end of September of 2019. So, when January hit, and actually happened to have a friend who worked at the CDC, and he's a really good friend, and we would talk, and he told me all this stuff was going to happen before it happened. And we were kind of like, what? And he was like, listen, something's going to go on, things are going to get shut down, and eventually they're saying it's going to be like this. So me and my wife were like, oh, okay, whatever. I know but he studies, analytics. He studies. This is what he does, right? And as I started seeing things that he said early on happen, and I was like, okay, this is what's going on. But to my point is, all these things changed how we did business. So it wasn't advantageous for me to continue to keep doing those things, especially with the entertainment. As far as being an independent hip hop artist, yes, I made money doing it. However, I spent more money into it than I was. Hence why I had other businesses, which were
Yes.
basically were funding that,
Right.
right? So yeah,
Right.
I got paid good. I might go do a show for 45 minutes and make $1,500, but what I spent at the studio and what I spent at the mastering and this and that, and it didn't equate
Right.
to something that I felt was going to be what I can continue to do.
Right, right. And see, I'm already feeling that you're way more passionate about what you're doing now in service, to others than you were about that. That may not be the case, but I feel it. Maybe
Well,
not.
when you say that, um, so here's what I love, right? I love making a lot of money. I love helping people, and I love working for myself. Real estate is a driver that lets me to do that. So, yeah, I like real estate. I love those things more, right? And real
Mhm.
estate lets me do those things. That's
Yes.
how I've always said that. I love servicing people.
Right.
Entertainment, I was servicing people. I was giving people a feeling. I was giving people a vibe, and I was providing them with a place where they can come together and they can do that and they can enjoy themselves. So, even when we did that, we always served the community. We did a lot of community outreach. We did a lot of charity things that we created. So being able to come into real estate allows me to still. I love people. I really love people. I really love being able to connect with people that from another part of the world, different types of people, and being able to give them something that's going to last forever, that they're going to remember. Maybe connecting them with someone else who now they have a bond and relationship that was created through you.
Mhm.
So all these things that real estate provides, yes, I'm very passionate about
Yes.
all the outcomes from real
Yes.
estate.
Yeah. And real estate is just our commodity, right? I think that is the vehicle that drives so many other unique things. So I appreciate you touching on all that. So give me, did you perform under your name or something else?
So I performed under Frank Mason.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was Maison. And the reason why I chose that name is because my middle name is Francois. So like English version, Frank, right? I'm Haitian American, right?
Okay.
So with that, I wasn't really into big the gimmicks, and and I'm born in May, but my last name is Maison, actually, if you pronounce it correctly, right?
Okay.
Not Mason, but over time, I don't have time to correct everybody about how to spell my
Yes.
last name, right? So I chose the Mason because one, that's how people say my name already, but I spelled it Maison because I was born in May, so I'm the son of May. May
Okay.
son. Yeah, so I had all these different
There it is again. He's dropping some knowledge. So when you see him, holler at him. If I hit you with Francois, then you'll know.
yeah.
What's up? I got you. I got you. Well, let's see. Um, Let me ask you this, because again, I know you invest, and I think that I personally think that it's important. You don't have to own real estate, I think, in order to sell real estate, but most of us do. But most of us do. So, where are you at in that journey? And again, are you still investing? Hopefully, and how many doors do you currently have?
So I right now I'm not in the buy and hold space. I'm in the
Yeah.
fix and flips.
Okay.
Right. End of this year is when we plan to do a buy our first buy and hold. Right. And we'll take off from there and we'll have a goal of how many we're going to acquire every single year. But I'm
Okay.
going to still do it the method of basically Burr. Right. I don't know if
Yes.
anybody's familiar with the Burr method is, but I plan on owning my doors without putting in a single dollar. Right.
Okay.
That's the goal. That's how we're gonna do it. Just because I learned all the strategies from fixing and flipping that opened up my mind. When I first started real estate, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna save 20%. And I'm gonna go buy a house. At that time, $250,000, you can get a decent house. That's not the same. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna save $60,000. I'm gonna put down in a house and I'm gonna do a rental. And now I know a whole nother way where I can do it, and I don't gotta put down a single dollar. Just a
Yeah.
little bit of time.
There you go. There you
Yep,
go.
just a little bit of time.
And again, for those who are not familiar, again, holler at Francois Maison, right? He can educate you, right? Because there are ways. So I appreciate sharing that because I know there's a number of folks as I look across the screen here that do own multiple properties. I have a few myself, and so again, I'm like you, I'm buy and hold, but I would like to do this year maybe my very first flip, but only if the situation is right for me. So I'm not forced to do it. So, um,
Let
and
me add something about that fix and flip thing.
yes,
So I've only been doing this. We're on our second year, fifth property already, right? I'm with an investment group that have a mentorship where we show people how to do this from beginning to end, and we're batting at 1,000. There's not one single person in my group. So I'm about 35 now. There's not one single person in my group who has not bought a house and made a profit from it. When they say usually it takes, 2 or 3. If you break even on your first one, you did really good, is what they said. We don't. I never had that introduction. I never had that as something that I had to look back at and say, "Oh, we broke even. We did great." Never, because I was able to catapult and streamline all that and get with somebody who had a proven method that works. You just don't go outside the strategy. Don't go outside of what we tell you the guideline is for how we do this. And I'm telling you, in such a short time, I've seen people literally lives change where they no longer work for anybody because they've got in on this investment group that I'm with and been able to literally change their lives and now have a whole nother way. I mean, this is how I retired my wife. I'm 38. Well, I'm 39 now. I just turned 39. My wife is 34 years old. When she was 33 years old, April 30th, I retired my wife from her job. She no longer works for anybody else, right? And I had a vision. I had a goal. I told her this is what I want to do. And she said, if you think it's gonna work, I will rock with you. And I said, just trust me. And she's a 9 to 5, go to work, salary, pay. Like that's her thing. My wife is not entrepreneur. She does not have the entrepreneur spirit. She does not have the vision to plant the seed, to water it, to watch it grow. Something's gonna happen in the end. That her mind doesn't work like that. That's okay. You gotta have chiefs and you gotta have Indians. But we're married and she trusts me and she sees what I do. She's seen me take nothing and turn it into something 100 times over. And so she trusted me. We took it there. And now my wife, she's at home with our newborn baby. She no longer does she ever have to call somebody when our kids are sick to ask them if she can stay home to watch our kids. And that's what really did it for me. That really had me sick. When COVID came and COVID ran through her house and her job was like, well, how soon do you think you can get back? And I said, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I said, nah. We talking about quality of life now, right? Like,
Right.
you
Right.
know, like, nah, we're not doing that. So, but on the investment side, I source a lot of properties for investors as well. So that's another thing. You know, the way I look at real estate, I no longer look at real estate just as one way as I did. And I promise, you know, when you start to look at these other avenues and realize that you can get paid 10 different ways from real estate, from a real estate transaction, it will change your whole mind of how you look at real estate. You know, me sourcing properties to investors, I work with a lot of different wholesalers, other investors, agents, because they know that I do this. Send me a property and know that with one click, right now I can text my assistant and she'll send out that property to 250 people on one list, 100 people on this list, and we just wait for the offer to come in. The offer comes in, they like it. There's no talking nobody off the ledge. There's no convincing somebody that the window looks great. It's none of that. There's no emotions involved. It's just a numbers thing, and it's simple. And they're like, okay, we'll give you this price. They want it, no DD, non-refundable earnest money, close the deal. So the relationships that I built with other agents, and now even when I say look at real estate different, when I have a conversation with an agent who calls about one of my listings, it doesn't matter if their client is, you know, has a low offer, they can't, you know, get the house or they came to see it. I go 3 deep now into a conversation with that agent. So to ask them questions about their business. And I'm not trying to recruit them. I'm not trying to add them to my downline. I'm just figuring out building a relationship with them just like the other people. And I'll tell you, from doing that, I've gotten so many other deals now where it's like it's like you send that letter to the neighbors when you're doing an open house. And the reason why you do that is because maybe they're not buying it, but they might know somebody. But the fact that they know your house is being for sale, when they go to the grocery store, somebody mentions something, they're gonna say, "Hey, I know this house in my neighborhood," right? Well, it's the same thing when it's for these agents. When I'm talking to these agents and I'm building this relationship with them, they know what I'm doing and they know that I'm doing this investment and other things. So when they come across something, guess what they think? I know a guy. Let me reach out to that guy. Hey, I found this property and I didn't even know what to do with it. But you know what? This sounds like something that Rodney can do. And they're bringing me the properties. And now we're closing deals. And many of them are like, hey, I want to do more of this because when I tell you buying my time back is the most important thing to me, right? The way I look at life now is I see a dollar sign, an equal sign, and then time. And all we're ever trying to do is more, well, what we know, right, is more time equals more money, right? But what we want to do is less time, more money, right? So I'm constantly trying to figure out how can I buy my time back and still be able to make profit. And doing things like this allows me to do that because I'm not spending hours in convincing and being an emotional support when it comes to this off market deals that I'm working with. These are just like this. And it's the deal's done. I barely see the people. I don't really see the house. And it's just getting done. So building relationships with these agents have also been able to help me and also help them as well because I'm providing them with the service. I'm providing them with the service because some people say, well, I want to get into it. I don't have any buyers though. You don't need any buyers. I got the buyers. So I'll show you how I built my list up. But in the meantime, I have the buyers. If you have the product, it's gonna sell. Like the conversation I had earlier today, she said, "Well, why are you still with Keller Williams? Why aren't you with Sanders Group?" This is an agent that I built a relationship with from a deal that we never did together, but we built a relationship. And I told her, I said, "Why do I need to be the Sanders Group? You're with the Sanders Group." She said she starts laughing. She said because they give you so many leads. I was like, great. So since you're with the Sanders Group, I'm with the Sanders Group too. I said because we're connected, we network. Whatever you got, I got. Whatever I got, you got. So we're sharing our resources, and it's just like that.
Again, you circle all the way back again to relationships and networking. And I think Kenneth jumped on, and I think Kenneth might be how I met you or got connected. And so again, I appreciate that brother there for putting us together. And again, I think now in this community, especially, I've been so fortunate to have made these key relationships, and I won't even start to name Crystal and Monique and you and Betty and all these people that I feel that's family. We're family now, and I'm so appreciative of that. As we leave, what is there something about you, your business, relationships? Is there something that you would like for us to know, or something that normally, I don't know, folks don't normally ask you, but I think I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going, Rodney, but yeah, as we finish, is there one more thing that you'd like for us to add, to have?
You know, I just started thinking this recently because I forget because it's a way of life for me. But all these things that I do, with the real estate, the numbers, I'm doing great. I'm an individual agent by myself. I forget to tell people this, but I don't work weekends and I don't work evenings at all. Spending time with my family is the most important thing to me. I'm to the point where it is a part of my consultation to let my clients know, to set the expectation of, hey, doesn't mean I'm not available. Just know that coming around about 4:30, 5 o'clock, there could be a delay in response. I'm very, very responsive. I communicate very well, but I might just shoot you a text and say, hey, I'm gonna call you right back. But you can always get to me, but it might not be as quick of a response because I don't work weekends. I do not work evenings. I'm there for every single dinner. I'm there for every bath time, for every homework, for every practice, for every game. There's not a dollar amount that is going to allow me to miss that. I just don't care. I don't time equal sign money. One thing that I can never get back is the time with my kids. And when I explain that to people, they really respect it because the value that I have, with that, it also shows what kind of value and respect I have for their time as well while you have me. So from that 9 o'clock to almost 5 o'clock, I tell them I don't play about my time. If I say I'm going to be there at 10:30, I'm going to be there at 10:30. If I'm going to be a minute late, I'm still going to send a text and say I'll be there at 10:31 because when you have me during that time, I'm not playing no games. Because when I'm with my family, I'm not playing no games. And for me to be able to spend that time with my family without the distractions, I have to put in that work and do exactly what I need to do during this time. Now, don't get it twisted. Sometimes, yeah, I do got to, like taking a call, doing an email, that's not work to me. I mean, I'm on social media when I'm not doing that, right? I'm scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. So sending a message, those things aren't real to me. I'm talking about sitting down, opening my laptop and not being able to talk to anybody, right? So I'm not having to do that. And I've been doing that now for I'm going on I guess year number 3. But I feel like I also earned the right to do that because I did work evenings, I did work weekends, I did work the holidays. I was the one showing house on Christmas, on New Year's Eve. So getting to that, I feel like I earned the right to do that because I've done all that.
Right.
And now I use leverage to do that. I still show houses on weekend. I had two open houses last weekend. I had 2 clients being shown houses, but I was at the ball field. I was at had park. I went to the park, had lunch with my family. I didn't do the open houses. I didn't show the houses. I just used leverage for it. Like you're still gonna get my services. You're
Yes.
just not gonna get me after a certain time. And so that is something I think is important for people to know because this business will burn you out. And
Very.
people are like, oh, I miss so much. It doesn't have to be like that. I'm living proof that I can be successful top agent and continue to um, pass my goals and raise my bar higher and still not work weekends or evenings, not for no dollars at all.
Love it. Monique asked, who's your typical client? And I can tell you my respect for you has increased tenfold because, you know, I didn't miss anything with my oldest son who's no longer with us. And had I missed all that stuff, the devastation that I feel would be even greater. And so I'm blessed that I did not. So in your typical client, I think Monique asked, who is that? What does that look like?
Man, it ranges to be honest with you, right? It really ranges. It ranges in race, it ranges in age. I have let me just give you a scope now. I have probably 5 clients who 6 clients who are all investors. Then I have another client who's an agent, right? He just wanted to use me as his agent, right, for his deal. I have someone who just called me from a sign 2 weeks ago. I've never seen him in my life, but he swears he's my best friend. Um, I have I have another person who's overseas, in London right now. I've never met him before in my life, but I'm listing his property, helping him acquire more property. I have a couple retirees who, one I've never seen before, one that I've worked with his son, and I'm working with them. And these are talking about clients right now, just to show you a range. It doesn't really matter. When you connect with somebody, it doesn't, they say age is just a number and all that stuff like that. It doesn't even matter. So there is no typical. There is no, oh, just the first time home buyers. There isn't just this age group. It's anybody who is looking for someone to
Yeah.
respect them, be professional, and they can trust. That's my client.